Don't confuse Moses' ceremonial laws with God's 10 Commandments. Let's set the record straight. Moses is not God, and the 10 Commandments are not the same as the law of Moses. But the modern pulpit, the careless theologian, and the convenient skeptic have all made the same fatal error. They confuse God's eternal law with Moses' temporary ordinances. And in doing so, they trample the 4th commandment, spit on God's Sabbath, and call it abolished. Shame on them. Yes, Moses wrote laws. Yes, those laws were nailed to the cross. Yes, they were part of the old covenant that passed away. But hear me clearly. God's 10 Commandments were not written by Moses. They were written by God's own finger. Exodus 31:18 declares, "He gave unto Moses 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone, written with the finger of God." Deuteronomy 10:2 confirms, "I will write on the tablets the words that were on the first tablets, which you broke, and you shall put them in the ark." But what about Moses' law? It was written in a book, not in stone. It was placed beside the ark, not inside it. Deuteronomy 31:26. That's a clear separation. One was divine, the other humanly administered. To confuse the two is to confuse the holy with the symbolic, the eternal with the temporary, the moral with the ceremonial. Let's be honest. Pastors and priests love to blur this line. Why? Because if they convince you the Sabbath was nailed to the cross, they can justify Sunday worship. If they lump God's law in with the feasts, the sacrifices, and the ordinances, they can declare them all obsolete. But you can't throw out the 4th commandment without also throwing out the other 9. So I ask you, Pastor, did the cross make it okay to murder? Did grace give us permission to commit adultery? Did Jesus die to abolish "thou shalt not steal"? No? Then how dare you claim the Sabbath was abolished when it stands as one of the 10? Colossians 2:14-17 is their favorite scapegoat. Blotting out the handwriting of ordinances, but they say. But read it carefully. It says, handwriting. Whose hand wrote those ordinances? Moses' hand, not God's. These were the ceremonial laws, meat offerings, drink offerings, new moons, holy day festivals, all pointing forward to Christ. Once Christ fulfilled them, they ended. But God's 10 Commandments are not ordinances, they are his eternal covenant, Deuteronomy 4:13. And no verse in Scripture says they were nailed to the cross. You can dress it up, twist the words, and dance around it. But the truth remains. The 10 Commandments are still binding. And if you break one, especially the 4th, which says, remember, you break them all, James 2:10. You say, but Jesus is our rest now. Yes, he is. And that's why we honor the rest day he created, the 7th day. Not a Roman substitute, not a man-made invention. To reject the 10 Commandments and call them Moses' law is to reject the very character of God. Because his law is not just a list of rules, it is a mirror of his holiness, his justice, his love. So pastors, priests, imams, skeptics, stop blending what God has separated. Stop using Moses to silence the voice of God. Stop confusing the ceremonial with the moral. Because when you twist Scripture to abolish the Sabbath, you don't just rewrite doctrine, you defy the lawgiver himself. The ceremonial law was a shadow. The 10 Commandments are light. Don't confuse the two.